To be perfectly honest, I hate to be the one to inform you of this. However, it's come to my attention that not all of us understand that rape is a bad thing. Because of the Steubenville rape case, a lot of people have been talking about this topic. And the sad thing is that a lot of people are treating rape like it's a small issue, a minor inconvenience, as something that isn't actually wrong. A lot of people are treating this like it's not a crime, like the boy's sentencing was a crime. And I know this because apparently the victim of this case has received death threats, and that is unacceptable. Now, I don't know about you, but I understood that rape is a bad thing as soon as I comprehended what the hell rape was. I mean, rape is synonymous with words like plunder and violate and abuse. I mean, there's nothing in my head that can possibly justify rape, not even a little bit. There's nothing that makes this okay. And I swear to you, if I hear one more person or media outlet mourn the rapist's guilty verdict for ruining their lives, I am going to punch someone. Because rapists are not victims, and you should not be defending them. Their hopes and dreams weren't ruined by some impersonal, unfair system. They raped a girl, and they were sentenced accordingly. And it's worth noting that they could have been tried as adults. They had a very lenient sentence, actually, in comparison, and it could have been worse if they were tried as adults and in front of a jury. And don't think for a second that the media didn't take sides and show their bias in this case. CNN discussed how the boys had promising futures and were good students. ABC News made excuses for the rapists. NBC News lamented the boys' future football careers. USA Today and the Associated Press stressed that the victim was drunk in their covering of the story, and Yahoo News said that the victim forced the town into an emotional situation. And I despise the irresponsible journalism that took place when covering this story. Imagine the victim hearing all of these stories, reading all of these reports. After finally getting justice for the crime committed against her, everyone in the world seems to be sympathizing with the rapists. I despise how the media is glorifying the perpetrators of this crime. A group of teens completely defiled another teen. And we talk about it, how we're ruining their lives by providing the consequences for their actions. The real world has consequences, and I sure as hell knew that when I turned 16, so they probably should too. And the greater hypocrisy on this is when the American media covered the India gang rape, we treated them like they were barbarians. Out of control barbarians. And that's what we treated the rapists as. And we talk about how these boys had the brightest future in the world. How they were good people. And maybe they are good people. I don't know them. This is probably the worst thing they've ever done in their lives. It's still a terrible thing though. And maybe the media should be talking about how this could have been prevented and how to prevent it in the future. Because the very sad fact is that some people won't watch the coverage and think what they did was horrible, and if I see a girl is drunk and can't consent, I shouldn't rape her. In fact, I should probably take her somewhere safe. To think about how a girl ruined their lives by being unconscious and by letting herself get taken advantage of. They ruined their own lives. The worst thing that will happen to them, reportedly, is that they will be registered sex offenders. Well, if they didn't want to be labeled as sex offenders, they shouldn't have committed a sex crime. The true audacity is that people are defending these boys because they're teenagers. I'm technically still a teenager, and I can tell you, in all of my years of experience, I have not once felt the urge or the desire to drug, kidnap, and rape a person. And I'm sure some idiot is going to say that that's because I'm a girl. So give me a minute so I can ask a boy a question. Hey, Eric, you're a teenage boy, right?
Sure.
Have you ever felt the urge to drug, kidnap, and rape someone?
No.
Thank you. That is all. It's not a gender issue. And to the people who think that rape is a gender thing, you are wrong. You are so exponentially, unbelievably wrong. Men can be raped, and you know what? Not all men are rapists. And so the people saying it's the girl's fault, the victim's fault, for being drunk or for going to this party, you're also wrong. In fact, you're probably in the same category as the first people. It's not her fault, and to say that it is the same thing as saying that girls shouldn't ever drink, that girls shouldn't ever go to parties, that girls need to dress a certain way, be a certain way, behave a certain way, only go to certain places, and that is wrong, because you know what that means? That means we have to behave to a certain code of conduct. Because if we don't, we will get raped, because all men are rapists, and I pray to God that is not true. If every man in the world is a rapist, what does that make our world? I mean, this isn't something that's just going on in Ohio either. In Torrington, Connecticut, 2 18-year-old football players have been accused of raping a 13-year-old girl. The victim is being bullied and is being called a whore and a snitch, and has been accused of ruining the lives of the 18-year-old football players. Sounds like a similar case, doesn't it? Students are going so far as to bully anyone who defends her as well. This isn't right. And I'm sorry that the victims are going through these terrible things and have gone through terrible things in the past because of the perpetrators doing. There's a rape culture in our world, a culture that leads to someone being raped or sexually assaulted every 2 minutes. And I want it to end.